What's up, bro? Train the lizard.
Right. Sweet.
Hey,
Hi.
tastes great.
Yeah.
Feels even better.
Wow.
Man, I think you're trying too hard. So be yourself.
Whatever happened to the drink Sobe? The drink with the lizard on it that was popular in the 1990s and going into the 2000s. Some people also called it lizard juice. What happened to a extremely popular drink like that? Well, I took a deep dive into it, a very deep dive, and it's a bit complicated. I've seen other people try to cover this, and they didn't take as much of a dive into it as I did. It gets a little complicated, so stay tuned for that, because it gets a little tricky. But before I take the deep dive into it and explain what ultimately happened to Sobe, I would like to go over two things. Number one being what us fans need to do to bring Sobe back, and two, my story on how I got into drinking Sobe. So let's start with my story first off. I am currently 27, born in 1997. I remember seeing Sobe as a child growing up in the glass bottles. Of course, I didn't have my own money. I was a child. Fast forward when I was about 10, 12-ish, my uncle would take me to Mariners ball games, and that's pretty much when I was introduced to it. Every time we went, he would buy me one, and I fell in love with the flavor strawberry banana. It was something that nothing to this day can compare. Nothing compares to it, and I crave it every single day. Fast forward to middle school, around 2010, we had them in the middle school drink machines, like the pop machines, and every time I had a few dollars off of doing chores and stuff like that, I would buy some, and everybody in middle school would drink them. And then after that, after a few years, they just slowly started vanishing out of the machines until they were no more. So regarding us fans and what we need to do to bring Sobe back, we need to do more than just asking what happened to Sobe and just accept that it's no more, because we have the opportunity to bring it back. And what we need to do is gather in a force and take it to Pepsi. We need to harass Pepsi about bringing it back, because ultimately Pepsi owns the rights to it. We need to take to Pepsi's call centers. We need to call up Pepsi and demand that they bring it back. We need to take to their socials. We need to take it to the CEO and everybody else who is in charge of bringing out new products and discontinued products. We need to bring it to their LinkedIn. They're active over on LinkedIn, especially the CEO. We just overall need to harass Pepsi every single day until they bring it back. And if we have enough people, they'll bring it back. So regarding the phone number, I will leave the phone number to Pepsi right here, along with a few other links on how you can get in contact with Pepsi. And we have to do this every single day. You're going to call Pepsi, hit option 3. You'll then be transferred over to a representative, and you basically tell them that you want to make an inquiry about a drink that they all but discontinued. And from there, they're going to ask you which drink. You say Sobe. They're going to ask you if you're looking for any particular flavor, because they're going to look it up in their database and see if they can find any worldwide. They did say that it is in California, like Western California and the Western Mountains. I do have people out there, and they have not been able to find any. I was in Las Vegas at one point a year ago, down at the Luxor in Las Vegas, and I did see in the Luxor at Baja Fresh, some Sobe, and some of those pop machines. But just overall, it's very hard to come by and is all but discontinued. But anyways, going back to the representative, they're going to ask you which flavor. You're going to say you want them to bring back all Sobe flavors. Bring back the whole thing. And you're just going to tell them that. From there, tell them more things if you want. Just basically tell them you just wanted to call and make a request on them to bring the entire Sobe brand back. From there, they're going to ask if you want a free coupon for like a free drink, and you should say, no, I do not drink any Pepsi products. I just want you guys to bring Sobe back. And if we get enough people doing that and enough people declining the free coupons, saying those exact words, they will have to bring Sobe back, because you're basically declining a free drink and telling Pepsi that you don't drink any of their products, you just want Sobe back. And from there, do that every single day in numbers. Everybody has to do this, like I have been for quite some time now. And also go to their social medias and their LinkedIns and do this in numbers so Pepsi takes notice. If there's only a few people doing it, Pepsi has no reason to bring it back. Now, into the deep dive of what happened to Sobe. Let's get started. So Sobe dominated the 1990s going into the year 2000, and the main CEO, John Bello, decided that he wanted to expand the company even more, and it was between making a deal with Pepsi or Coke. Ultimately, he went with Pepsi. And this deal was basically to use Pepsi's name for advertising and everything like that, and just ultimately have Pepsi distribute Sobe and make Sobe even bigger than it already was and was becoming going into the year 2000. Unfortunately, John Bello gave Pepsi a 90% stake in the company, while retaining a 10% stake for himself and his employees. This deal was worth $370 million. And John Bello, like I said, his goal was to make Sobe even bigger than it already was and was becoming, and have Pepsi basically carry the product and make it even bigger. Sadly, this is where things take a turn. Consumer interests were changing. There were other drinks coming out. A lot of different drinks. What became popular were energy drinks and flavored water. And this was the year 2000 on. Gatorade was introduced. Monster, Lipton. You get the idea. So, from a business standpoint, Pepsi bought out Sobe and didn't quite know what to do with it, as consumer interest was changing. The big things were energy drinks and flavored water, and Sobe just did not fit into that criteria, even though Sobe was a really good selling product and was a tea with vitamins in it. Pepsi just ultimately didn't know what to do with it and focused more attention on energy drinks and flavored water. Now, to compete with Coke and other companies and what was just overall hot at the time, Pepsi decided to take Sobe from what it was, which was a very good tea, and advertise it towards and make it a energy drink and a water. And unfortunately, that did not sell well. All their focus shifted to the energy drink sector and flavored water sector, because that was what was hot at the time going into the year 2000 and beyond. And that was unfortunate for Sobe, because Sobe was a tea. That's like taking Gatorade and trying to turn it into a energy drink, coming out with Gatorade Energy or something like that. You know, it doesn't often work. It rarely works. Pepsi also ended up switching Sobe to plastic bottles, and there is reports and data out there that says customers did not like that. Some people saying that it made Sobe taste weird, taste different, etc., etc. So that could play a factor. But at the same time, going back to the switching Sobe to energy drinks and flavored water, gearing more towards that. There is also data out there that does say that Sobe water and Sobe energy drinks did sell well, but we're just going to say they sadly did not. As you can see in some of my screenshots, Pepsi did advertise Sobe energy drinks and Sobe flavored water a whole bunch, gearing towards that sector, since that sector was really, really popular at the time. So it looks like just ultimately Pepsi sadly ended up neglecting Sobe, as it did not do well regarding the energy drink and flavored water sector, and just ultimately pulled the plug altogether and focused resources on other things like Amp Energy, which didn't do too well, but that's a different story. So instead of keeping Sobe around as a tea and also having Sobe energy drinks and Sobe flavored water, they just ultimately scrapped the whole thing and gave up, unfortunately. So I did get close to speaking with John Bello, former CEO of Sobe. Unfortunately, it was a dead end. I was hoping that maybe he could help us fans bring back Sobe. Unfortunately, it was a dead end. Just overall, ultimately, like I said, I believe that Pepsi bottomed out when energy drinks and flavored water were becoming very, very popular. They switched or tried switching Sobe from tea to energy drink / flavored water to capitalize on that. Unfortunately, it did not work, and then they just scrapped the whole thing. Didn't keep the teas around, just nothing, just scrapped the whole thing. So at the end of the day, it sucks, and ultimately we all got to get together and pressure every single day in big numbers Pepsi to bring it back. All the flavors, everything, just bring it back. They say it's in California, and I did some research on that. California seems like Sobe is very popular in California, but unfortunately, good luck finding some. They are very, very rare. I got people out there who can't find it. They can't even find it online. Just nothing. So, yeah, that's the story. Thank you for your time.